Okay, ruler, crayons, we are working on multiplying fractions, and there are multiple ways to do this, and one way that we're going to do is through the model, because TCAP is the best thing ever. It's going to ask you to be able to read a model. Okay, so here is how I want you to look at this when we're multiplying, and we're going to do this method, and we're going to do the standard method. Okay, so everybody breathe easy. I'm going to give us just different ways of looking at it. So here I have a rectangle, and I'm going to be focusing on my denominators. My denominators represent the whole of the fraction, and my numerators are representing the part. So part, whole, okay? So I am going to draw 8 columns going up and down, okay? So just so we can try to make it as even, Steven as possible, I'm going to go down the middle since 8 is an even number. Yeah, they're not perfect, but they're gonna be okay. Okay, okay, okay. Now I have drawn 8 columns. Then I'm going to draw 5 rows. Okay, so we're gonna try to make those as even, Steven as possible. Yeah, you're all like, my gosh, Miss Collins. I know, I know. Okay, so rehashing what we just did, 8 columns, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 rows, okay? So then my columns, I'm going to go back, okay? I'm going to go back right here, okay? But one thing I do want to point out to help make it more sense, right? Because let's make it make sense. To make sure that you've drawn the correct columns and rows, if you were to multiply your denominators, okay, 8 times 5, you should have 40, right? And then you would have 40 squares, rectangles, hopefully equal parts, okay? I hope we're there so far. Now I'm going to take my crayon, okay, and I'm going to color 3 columns, okay? 3 columns, because we're worrying about my 8 right now. And we're going to make the most beautiful colors ever. I know you're all like, oh my gosh, Miss Collins, it's taking forever. I know. All right, so 3 columns were colored. Then, hear me out, we're going to go to the 5, okay? So remember, my 5 is, I have 5 rows going across, okay? I'm going to color 1 of those rows. So I'm going to come down here. Okay. So I have colored 3 columns, 1 row. And so if I were to multiply this fraction, my numerator, 3 times 1, I get 3, which means I should have 3 squares that have overlapped in my columns and my row. And I do, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the model shows 3 over 40. Okay, all right, so let's do another one. I have 1/3 times 1/2. Now I'm going to go column. How many columns? My denominator says 3 columns, okay? So just 3 this time. Okay. All right. Then 2 rows. So I'm just going to cut this in half. All right. So now I'm going to take my crayon again. My 1 column, right? I'm going to color 1 of my columns. Okay, all the way down. And then one of my rows, okay? So, I should have backed up. If I were to multiply my denominators, 3 times 2, that gives me 6. I should have 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 squares, okay? So I'm going to come over here and put 6. Then my numerator, 1 times 1, should represent the number of squares that were colored overlapped, and it's 1. So 1/6. So this model shows 1/6, okay? So let's go over here and look at this one. Okay, so this time, I know we try to really separate this as much as possible. So we need to write a multiplication sentence that each of the models represent, meaning, so we're going to do a fraction times a fraction like we had up here, okay? So I'm going to come next to this guy. So something times something, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do, again, I'm going to count my columns up and down. 1, 2. That's my denominator. That's my whole, okay? And then I'm going to come over here of my columns. Again, just my column, okay? How many columns were shaded? I had 1 column shaded, okay? And if you want, you could color it if you wanted to. I'm going to do yellow. I'm going to do something light. Okay, we'll go like this. So I want us to be able to see where it cuts off. Okay, okay. So one of my 2 columns, so 1/2 was colored. Now, my rows, I need to count my rows, my whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 rows, okay? Now, I need to color in the number, the number of rows, just my rows. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rows, that's my part, 5 rows, okay? So, if I'm solving this, multiply 2 times 8 and I have 16. How do we check our work? Well, we want to make sure we had 16 all the way across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay? And then my numerator, 1 times 5 is 5. Checking my work. How many were overlapping? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1/2 times 5/8 is 5 16. Okay, 5/16. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. So what I want you to do is these 3 on your own. Okay, because this is the second page. I want you to do these 3 on your own. Okay.